Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Wonderful. Good evening, Peralta community. Thank you again for your patience as we start the meeting a little late. Let's call the September 27 Board of Trustees meeting to order at exactly 6:15. Trustee Withrow, you want to do us the honor of leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
First flag.
1 second.
I
Or
pledge
on the monitor
allegiance to the
sometime.
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
Under God.
indivisible, with liberty and
And
justice.
justice for all.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. 3.3 roll call. Madam Board Clerk, could you do roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Student trustee Hogan. Student trustee Latino. Trustee Withrow.
Here,
Trustee Jenkins.
Here.
Trustee Handy. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
I'm right here.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Here.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. 3.4, the affirmation of the statement of cooperation. As per usual, we will begin the meeting with the adopted statement of cooperation that codifies this board's commitment to set the bar for excellence in governance, in community college leadership, and to lead by example for all of our Peralta colleges. The full statement of cooperation is attached to this agenda, but in summary, we have committed to three things. And those three things are to build trust and seek to understand each other. Number two, to be prepared and follow good governance and ethical protocols. And number three, to model the behavior we want others at this district and everywhere to exhibit. 3.5, report of action taken in closed session. Vice President Delphine Polk, do we have anything? I think so.
I don't believe so. Sasha, can you confirm that?
That is confirmed.
Thank you.
Thank you. 3.6, approval of the agenda. I believe that we are going to, I would like to make a motion to move an item 9.8 because we have a speaker that is with us.
so
Nice.
moved.
9.8 to after the chancellor's report.
Right.
Okay, so moved. Roll call.
Student trustee Hogan. Student trustee Latino. Trustee Withrow.
Yes,
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. 3.7, approval of the minutes. May I have a motion?
so moved.
Thank you. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Delphine Polk. Roll call, please.
Trustee Withrow.
Yes,
Trustee Jenkins.
Yes.
Trustee Handy. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. 3.8, our student leaders. Do we have our student leaders in the house? Nate Myers, Mazin Said.
Yes, ma'am. We have my Mazen Saeed, I think is the first one.
Okay.
Hello, did you say my name?
Yes,
I did.
Is it the reports? Sorry.
yes, it is.
Okay, cool. So a couple of things. Last week we had Club Rush out at the atrium, and we had, I believe, over a dozen clubs tabling with over 50 students. I think even like above 70 students who showed up. We also handed out pizza. Thursday we had the food pantry, and then we also on Thursday we elected new members to the ASBCC board, as well as new members added to BCC's committee as student representatives, as well as the Peralta district communities. Sorry about the noise, I'm outside. And then finally, today we landed in Washington, D.C. For the National Congressional Black Caucus. And we toured the museum. And then tomorrow, I believe, is the first day of the conference. And that's it for right now.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Myers?
Hello,
Hi,
Go ahead.
welcome.
sorry.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Madam President, excuse me. Good evening, Madam President, Chancellor, members of the board, and all attendees. My name is Nate Myers, and I am ASCOA President, and I will be providing tonight's report on behalf of the students of College of Alameda. We have, last month, we as ACOA, we have sworn in a full board, and we are all standing in 7 committees. The president would be the president, myself. We have VP of Operations, Simeon Thompson. We have VP of Programs, Karen Torres. We have Secretary Sahar Sabat. She was just sworn in. We have Senator Wahiba Connect, DeMarcus Simeon, and we also have a student volunteer by the name of Jay Bond. So we are all sworn in. For student life and activities at COA, we started the Latinx and Hispanic Heritage Host by Acceso, and will run 4 events through October 15th. Today's was the Guatemalan textile weaving event. In addition, today, the COA has kicked off our Trustee Tuesday events as a part of our free lunch initiative, alongside community building activities to reconnect students to our campus. In behalf of ASCOA, we are excited to announce our collaborations with COA Student Life Activities and hosting community events from October 25th at 11:30 to 1:30 called Dead de los Muertes, Crafting for Your Altar. Food will also be provided. Our basic needs, we do have the free produce market every second and fourth Tuesday of the month between 12 and 2 p.m. Our students who have home campus at COA are currently enrolled in 3 units. The COA have not received an emergency food grant before and are not high school enrollment students eligible for a one-time $300 emergency food grant. Students can contact our staff assistant, Jeremy Simmons, at jsimmons@peralta.edu to request the application. That is it at this time.
Thank you, Nate. Let's move on to student trustee Lisa Hogan. Reporting on merit. Are you in the room?
I do not see her in the room, President.
Okay, all right. Do we have any other student leaders in the room?
No, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Mazen, and thank you, Nate. Let's move on to 3.9, Peralta Classified Senate Report.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, President Reese, Vice President Delphine Polk, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Jackson, presidents, and guests. Tonight, we have 2 classified Senate campus reports. The first report comes from the Merritt College Classified Senate. The Merritt College Classified Senate and classified staff met today with the Institutional Effectiveness Partnership Initiative, IEPI, Partnership Resource Team, PRT, to discuss classified professional development challenges, ideas, and strategies. A classified forum was held inviting all classifieds to participate and provide input to the PRT team. There was an amazing turnout of classified participation, and we, the Classified Senate, would like to thank Merritt Classifieds for actively participating in the forum. Currently, the classified leadership team is encouraging the incorporation of Senate officers to further support the goals of classified staff. The second report comes from the Laney College Classified Senate. The renaming of the Classified Senate Lounge to the Rene Rivas Lounge is in its final approval stages. and the Senate will hold a dedication event in November. More information is forthcoming. Janice Brown, Staff Assistant in the Business Services, is the Senate's newest appointee. She will be replacing Lorena Baldazzo. The Laney Classified Senate will be sponsoring activities on Flex Day, Wednesday, October 19th. This will be the first in-person event since October 2019. The tentative agenda will feature presentations on the importance of classified professionals' involvement in shared governance committees by the PCS President, Terrence Fisher. The funding guidelines of the Classified Professional Development Funding by SEIU Chief Steward, Alejandro Acosta and team. Next, there will be team building and self-care activities. And finally, the presentations will end with a catered lunch. That is the end of the campus reports. Thank you very much for your support of the Peralta Classified Senate.
Thank you, Terrence. Let's move on to 3.10. And tonight we have Matthew Goldstein. Happy New Year, Matthew.
Thanks very much to you too, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thanks. As President Reese said, I'm Matthew Goldstein, and I'm Vice President of the District Academic Senate. I'm sitting in tonight for DAS President Donald Moore, who couldn't make it. Thanks for having me on the panel. The Senate's remain concerned about Peralta's commitment to participatory governance. We're looking forward to the upcoming PBIM Summit as a chance to work out our committee structures and figure out the relationship among all the various bodies. Late changes to the budget that the board will look at tonight underscore the urgency of getting our governance operations straight. The 11th hour discovery of an $11 million error no doubt contributed to the recent short-circuiting of our governance process relative to budgeting. But the fact is that a more coherent and functional committee structure, along with clearly established processes that all of the parties develop together and understand, would have probably spared us all some heartburn. To this end, DAS would like to encourage the district to consider teaming up with us to sign on for a collegiality and action training. This is a joint program offered by the ASCCC and the Community College League. And this program, the Collegiality and Action Program, offers, and I quote here, to help districts and colleges successfully implement state law and regulations that call for effective participation by faculty, staff, and students in district and college governance. It costs $1,000, but I imagine we could scrape up the dough between us. A visit from the joint training team might be just the thing to get us moving in the right direction after many, many false starts over the years. I'll put the links to ASCCC's info page in the chat along with the registration link. And I know Donald will take this up with Dr. J at a future meeting. On a related note, DAS was pleased that the district held its online forum on September 16th about the hastily revised budget with a more open democratic approach to the Zoom settings, the accessible chat room, the live questions from attendees, etc. I have to note that the forum, however improved over previous webinars, is not a substitute for shared governance. But that said, it was a more open and democratic process. We get it, running a big public meeting presents challenges. I don't need to tell you, and of course DAS knows it well too, but remember, Peralta is a big public institution, and we all need to learn how to deal with the big public challenges of working at such a place and figure out how to turn them to account. Thanks again for your time. Again, I'll put that info about the collegiality and action visits in the chat, and I'll look forward to the district and DAS committing to getting trained in that way. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Matthew. Let's move on to 3.11, public communication.
President Reese, if I could interject before we begin the public session. There's been a lot of questions regarding, and excuse my scratchy voice, I'm on the East Coast with the students, and the effects are showing. So I'd like to ask Dr. Kinley if he could make a few comments about what we're working on provide some clarity before we open up for public session, if you would indulge me in that request.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you, President Reese.
There's a
Ms.
delay.
Kinley, if you would like to begin.
Yes, thank you very much, Chancellor. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, President Reese. So just very quickly about action item 9.4, which is a resolution around healthcare, the dissolution of our current plans and the adoption of our new plans. Just a couple of quick things. One, we'd like to make it very clear that the district heard loud and clear our retirees' voices with regard to their concerns about the change they're going to make, and that we are absolutely going to honor our commitment to provide in writing a letter that ensures that pre-2004 retirees are held whole, are kept whole, and that they will suffer no any consequences related to the change. We also heard loud and clear that many, maybe not all, but certainly many of our retirees would prefer, instead of a Medicare Advantage plan, to have a Medicare supplement plan. So we have reached out to our contractor Alliance, our consultant, and we are happy to announce that we will be able to provide a dual purpose plan for our retirees, where they will have a choice between a Medicare Advantage plan or a supplemental plan, coupled with a Part D, which is your prescription drug plans, so that they will have a choice. We will be meeting, the Chancellor and I will be meeting with the Peralta Retiree Organization leadership next Tuesday, where we will discuss those plan options with them in detail. And we're also ready to provide any other information associated with that, and be able to share with them our draft of the letter that we will give each pre-2004 retiree to ensure that to give them the assurances that the district will honor its promise, and that they will get the benefits that they have been promised when they retired. And then one other quick thing, just so that folks understand, the intent of terminating the Trustmark, Anthem, and Kaiser HMO plans effective January 1st, 2023, and then enrolling in SISC, which is the Self-Insured Schools of California insurance plans effective January 1, 2023, will ensure seamless healthcare insurance coverage for our employees and our retirees, and to avoid any disruption in health insurance coverage for the district. Thank you very much, Chancellor and President Reese.
Thank you, Dr. McKinley. Thank you, Chancellor. Let's move on to public communication. Sasha?
Yes, President. Anybody that has any public comment they would like to make, please raise your hand. I will begin with Shiloh Johnson. They've been moved over as a panelist. Whenever you're ready.
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. Okay. Good evening. I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees and Interim Chancellor Jackson for giving me the time to speak to you today. My name is Shiloh Johnston, and I am the new editor-in-chief at the Peralta Citizen, our district's only student-run publication. I've been told that it is a tradition for the editor-in-chief to introduce themselves to the Peralta community during a Board of Trustees meeting. So here I am honoring that tradition. Excuse me. It's my intention this semester to focus on student experiences as we come back in a more significant way now that the pandemic has dwindled down a bit. I'm also interested in helping the students at our publication to hone the skills and gain the experience that we will need in our careers as journalists. In that vein, I'm sure you are all aware that this is an election year. The Citizen will be hosting a forum for candidates that are running for a position on Peralta's governing board. The forum will be hosted by the Citizen staff, who will be conducting 30-minute interviews with each candidate. This forum will be virtual and open to the public and will take place on October 5th from 2:30 to 5 p.m. For anyone who is interested in more information about the forum, please visit our website and click on the Trustee Forum tab on our top bar menu. Our website is www.peraltacitizen.com. We also have another new addition to our site. The Citizen is pleased to announce that we have launched the Citizen Secure Leak. a portal where concerned members of the Peralta community can anonymously submit information that will be reviewed and independently investigated by our reporters. We accept images, documents, and video files and have a text input box that can be used to give the citizen a news tip or a message accompanying the rest of your files. The portal is anonymous, secure, and encrypted. You can access the Citizen Secure Leak from the top bar menu of our website. Please come and visit us and read all of the wonderful articles written by all of our wonderful staff writers as we continue to serve our community and keep our district accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shiloh.
Next, we have Thomas Renbarger.
Okay, thank you, Board Clerk Amiri, members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Jackson, thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm speaking as the faculty co-chair of the Planning and Budget Council. This is the district level budget committee, you can think of it that way. I'll echo Vice President Goldstein's comments about, sort of the unfortunate nature of the last minute error that, or the last minute catch of the error and the shortfall of the $11 million, which, is understandable and is an honest mistake. So I don't want to point any blame about that. But I was disheartened by sort of the short circuiting of the shared governance process. And I understand that it's a time-sensitive issue, but we should make every effort to actually go through our shared governance processes, and I'm not sure if we did that. To everyone's credit, we did have a meeting of the PBC on the first Friday of September, but at that time, we had received a report on the options that were available to us, but we hadn't taken any formal action on the proposed budget. And we were to have a second meeting of the PBC in September, but that was preempted by the budget forum. And then we had originally actually planned to have a joint meeting of PBC and the Participatory Governance Council, but that didn't happen either. And so I just want to express my disappointment that we weren't actually able to close the loop, even in the compressed time frame, because I think we had the opportunity to do that, but we just didn't. To close, I would just like to say that, again, as the faculty co-chair of a district level, participatory governance committee, we really need to adhere to our process and make sure that we see it through. And, I just wanted, again, to say that hopefully this year, as every year that I hope, we'll do a better job, but I am somewhat dubious that will actually happen. And I hope the upcoming PBIM summit will assuage my concerns. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Thomas.
Next, we have Jeff Sinceri.
Hello. After hearing the dulcet tones of Tom and Matt, this is going to be a little more frantic, I think, because I was going to start by mentioning AP 7700, but as grievance officer, I come into a lot of knowledge and my frustration ends up peaking. But I want to say that AP 7700, for those listening, only protects employees from retaliation for reporting illegal activities, not unethical ones. And the district has literally informed me today that they have no problem acting unethically if there's no rule to prevent it. So for those of you out there, the citizen hotline may be the way to go. I'm talking tonight really because I'm just tired. I'm tired of the board and the district acting as if they actually care about our students. The board has made it plain that they don't care about teachers, and I've been on the front lines of that. The ones who personally deliver the education to the students. So maybe I can talk about the teachers and students together, and hopefully maybe you will hear half of what I'm saying before it's tuned out. So, like I said, I'm just tired. Tired of teachers and students who don't have consistent access to their classrooms. Teachers and students who have to deal with water leaks in their classrooms. They have to deal with broken windows in their classrooms. Teachers and students who have to deal with the fact that it can get as cold as 45 degrees in the classroom in the winter and as high as 120 degrees in the summer. Teachers and students who have their sociology classes located in kitchens. Teachers and students who are in culinary classes without access to equipment. Teachers and students have to deal with black mold in some of their classrooms and in offices. They also have to deal with leaks that cause the ceilings to cave in out of nowhere. They also have to deal with an entire face of a campus being cordoned off by a chain link fence that is interlaced with green screen so no one can see just what shape the school has become and has gotten into. They have to deal with elevators that don't work. They have to deal with stairs that are broken, libraries with no climate control. And there's also 5-year-old vomit on bathroom walls. Our students risk potential injury when they step on our campus, but they do it anyway. And I promise you, it's not because the soda machines work. Spoiler alert, they do not. All this, and they can't get the classes they want because the district is cutting classes. No, I mean, it takes a Herculean effort for them to actually go through everything they have to do, say, this is where I want to be, and have the classes cut. In truth, I could go on listing these issues because none of the issues I mentioned are aberrations. But I know I only have a couple minutes, so I just want to register my disappointment with the district, who continues to hire well-paid people that effectively prevent the issues like the ones I mentioned from ever getting fixed, and a board of trustees who congratulates the district for their self-interest and neglect of our students. And I swear you can defend yourself whenever I'm done, but our students who walk into our campuses know the truth, and that's something that can't be talked over. And also, lastly, good job with the reserves, you
10
guys.
seconds.
Good job with the reserves, though. You guys are nailing it. That's it.
Thank you for your comments, Jeffrey. Next.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm trying to move over Meryl Siegel.
Okay.
Doesn't seem to be working, so give me just one moment. Oh, there we go.
Hello, can you hear me? Should I? Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. My name is Meryl Siegel. I've taught at Peralta for a little bit, and I teach second semester college English at Laney College. I started out teaching ESOL at Laney College, but actually I'm an applied linguist, and I'm really excited about what I do, especially after all these years. I am teaching on the campus this semester, and I can attest to everything that Jeff said about the facilities on the campus. But today I want to talk about tutoring. So I waited and waited for the tutoring message, never got the tutoring message this semester. I asked my dean, I asked my VP, we only have online tutoring. What? We don't have enough face-to-face tutoring. What? I'm teaching face-to-face. I was told my office hours should be on campus, face-to-face. That's fine. That's what I signed up for. But we don't have the tutoring for the students. These students have been online for 2 years. Some of them have just come in from Oakland Unified online for 2 years, yet we don't have tutoring for the students. I requested that we have tutoring, and if we don't, last year I was department chair, and I was afraid there wouldn't be face-to-face tutoring this year, so I requested that we have our support class, a 208 support writing class for students. And I was told there's no money for that. It won't generate FTEFs. So the students who need support, who have been through the pandemic for 2 years and are now stumbling along, trying to work on their second semester college English classes, can only get online tutoring where they have to send in a chat to the tutor. Now, if any of you have studied any of the research on teaching writing, I could fill you in. That's not how you teach. You tutor students, right? Tutoring writing is a really special kind of thing. That's why Laney was blessed, may I say, to have our writing center. So how are we supporting students if there's not enough money to really adequately have the writing center going and have a support class that we call English 208 to support our students. And this is especially when we know that the general fund for the district has increased by at least 22 million over the last 5 years, while enrollment has decreased by a third. I'll leave it
10
at that.
seconds.
If you have any further questions, I think most of you know how to reach me. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Meryl. Next.
Next, we have Shirley Costin, moving them over as a panelist.
I was not going to speak tonight until I heard Dr. McKinley speak about the retiree health benefits. And although I have been assured that nothing's going to affect my health benefit, I heard the year 2004 as being prior to 2004 being protected. I retired in 2011. And so I have a concern about what's going to happen to my health benefit. On another topic in the library, we have 4 classified people out, 1 retired, 3 are ill. At the moment, we are serving students from 8 to 4. We are not offering any services to our evening students except for online reference service. And I heard at the budget committee meeting, was it last week or week before last, a way of making up the deficit was to freeze all positions that are vacant. And I just want to recommend that we don't take that approach, that we have to look at each position that's open and how it's affecting students. And right now we are not serving our students in the evenings or on Saturdays. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Next speaker.
Next, we have Brenda Mora.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Chancellor, and all attendees. My name is Brenda Mora, and I am the Merritt College Fruitvale Site Coordinator. This evening, I would like to share my experience with telework and seek your support for a permanent agreement in our collective bargaining contract. I have worked remotely due to a medical condition since the beginning of the pandemic. While doing so, most courses we offer at the Fruitvale site have been fully enrolled and have had waitlists for most of our sections. I assist students with enrollment into the college by completing the online admissions application. I assist with class registration, residency issues, and referrals to academic counseling, among other processes. Sometimes when managers are new, they don't know the scope of our work, and any changes will affect our ability to serve the students. For example, we support our faculty and take part in activities within our community, such as board meetings, Senate meetings, and other shared governance committee meetings that help us connect to our colleagues, stay informed, and have a say in the processes that affect our students' lives directly. Many of us work directly with our students. We are the students' first contact in our colleges, and we need to be able to participate in these committees. I used to miss meetings before because I could not leave my office unattended. Telework helps me balance my work and life responsibilities. Some of us are parents of young children and elderly parents. Telework allows us to be more present at work that we and be for the work that we do for the district, while also taking care of personal matters. I am able to meet with students and jump on a meeting minutes after preparing a meal for my sick child. On the other hand, I used to miss days at work when my children were sick and I could not bring them to school while sick, which made me unreachable to students and to the faculty that I support at Fruitvale. I wanted to share my experience in hopes that it helps you and others in deciding to have a permanent a permanent agreement in our collective bargaining contract. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker.
Next, we have Nelson Souza.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. My name is Nelson Sosa. I'm a resident of Albany. I am also an immigrant, and when I came to the United States, one of the first places I went to and that gave me support and some of what I needed was community college. A lot of people in my family have also benefited from community college. And I was appalled to find out that once again, we're talking about cuts. I think that cuts are, these cuts, they're not just, a cut today, but they have a cumulative effect, so to speak, because, that means that later on you will have to maybe, some people that were affected by those cuts by not being able to take a certain class will not be able to return on time, and have to postpone their education. When folks that come to community college really need an embrace, need support, need that extra hand, that unfortunately our country, is denying to so many other people. As a taxpayer, in this community, I am, demanding that you guys put off these cuts, particularly now that you have the resources. Now there are resources. This is California. This is one of the richest places in the world. We can't keep taking from the poor, which is what's happening. What would be happening if these cuts go ahead? You will be taking from people who most need these services. There are people in this country and in this state who are going to space, and they live right here. And we're gonna cut classes for somebody that just came to this country and needs to get ahead and have some hope that life could be better. I really hope that you guys reconsider that. I am going to make sure that other people in my community pay attention to what's happening, because if these cuts go ahead, that will be a very, very, very big blow to our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Next, we have Wendy Bloom.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Wendy Bloom. I've been a registered nurse at Children's Hospital Oakland for 35 years, and I did get all my prerequisites at the community colleges a long, long time ago. I was a single mom, and the only time I could go to school was in the evenings. So I'm very concerned that if you're cutting classes and also having lack of services for students that are in the evening programs, you're gonna limit it to people, someone like me, who had very specific schedules and could only take their classes at off hours. And if those classes are not available for enrollment, then it's going to be a problem. It took me, I was fortunate, it was a long time ago, but it took me several years to get through all my prerequisites, and I was able to go on to San Francisco State and graduate. But I see youth that I work with, just like the speaker just said, who don't have opportunities and maybe don't have the wherewithal to figure out how to access all the different programs that they need. And I feel like maybe they will not be able to advance their careers like I was able to. And also I'm worried about our community, because hospitals are completely understaffed at all levels of career opportunities, like phlebotomy, radiology, nurses, on and on and on. And if we don't have a pipeline of new workers coming through from community college onto the colleges, it's just going to really affect the care that we can provide the community. So I'm really imploring you to find ways to not cut classes, to wait longer, to see if possibly people are going to enroll later before you decide to close a section of a class. Because again, it's really important to have off-hour classes. And multiple options for students. So I implore you to consider that. I know the money's there, and I just think that it's very short-sighted for our community if we can't offer the classes that are needed for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy.
Next, we have Mary Virginia Watson. You're muted.
Happens at least 1 in 5 times you start talking in Zoom. I'm here to talk about the cuts, which is an emerging theme tonight, because what's happening at Peralta is not an issue of resources, it's a problem of priorities. We know that the district has the resources to serve students because in 2018, the district had fewer students than it has, less money than it has now, and was serving 7,000 more students than we have today. Since then, our general fund has grown. We have more money to serve fewer students, a third fewer students. And so the fact that board meeting after board meeting, students, faculty, community members have to come before this board and ask for resources that aren't being given. The fact that when we talk to our state representatives, they're surprised because they know they've sent resources to the community colleges because they understand how important community colleges are. It's just really unacceptable. In talking to members of the community, students, faculty about these cuts, the disparate impact on a couple of groups of people, a couple of communities and students has been coming up again and again. And that is our immigrant English language learners and formerly incarcerated students. ESOL classes have been cut. The entry ESOL classes have been discontinued altogether. And the result is ESOL has some of the largest wait lists. It's not acceptable for an amply funded public community college to ignore our commitments to these students or to formerly incarcerated folks. Faculty and students, that's why faculty and students are asking the board to reconsider your policy of cut, cut, cut. While it makes sense to offer fewer classes when there are fewer students, we don't argue with that. The way that you're doing this, the way that you're allocating cuts is like taking a hatchet across the board, and it's self-defeating. We're driving away students at a time when we should be reaching out to them. And we're driving away particular communities of students in a way that is unacceptable. And we're also depressing our enrollment, which will negatively affect the funding our campuses receive for years to come. So we're not asking the district to run empty classes. We're asking for a voice because faculty and students, we know our needs. This is called shared governance, and it's how things are actually supposed to work. There are models for this at other campuses that work really well, and we're simply calling on the board and the chancellor to ask the people who are doing the work what we need to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Board Clerk, next.
Next, we have Karen Penich. And you're muted.
Hi, sorry. My name's Karen Penich. I'm an ESOL teacher at Laney and have been for since 2000, for about 22 years now. I teach the basic English classes and I helped develop the program that we started about 4 years ago for the lowest level students. I've been hoping for 4 years that those courses and those offerings will continue to grow because our student body in that, that population continues to grow. So we have 4 levels and the classes are 8 weeks. And for the last 4 years, we have not been able to get beyond offering, 1 level each 8 weeks. So we offer, 4 classes over the whole semester. We could easily offer 8 over the whole semester. But every semester, there's always these reasons why we can't get there and the funding isn't there. And I just talked to my chair the other day. He's doing the schedule for spring and he said, bad news. We're going from 12 FTEFs to 11 FTEFs. And so, you know, we can't grow. We're continuing to have the same number that we've always had. Our classes are full, bursting. We have wait lists. We could recruit easily another 4 classes a semester. And I just am baffled by why, you know, the system at Laney and Peralta in general does not have a growth mindset. It just seems that we are constantly thinking about how to shrink, shrink, shrink. And the word is getting out there. Faculty and students are getting the message that the administrators went up 19% over the last 3 or 4 years, high-paying administrators. Many of them don't even live in our communities, and they are the leaders of our community college. The word is getting out about that at the same time that students cannot get classes, at the same time that my part-time colleagues are not being able to get hours. And it's just, you know, people are really, we're just educating everybody. And I just wanted to let you know that this is not going to go away. There's just going to be people coming to every single board meeting saying the same things that we've been saying tonight, that you've got to stop the cuts and stop shrinking our colleges in these numbers. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Board Clerk.
Next, we have Deandra Farlow. Whenever you're ready. Deandra, are you there? She just muted herself.
Hello?
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, my name is DeAndre Farlow. I am a formerly incarcerated individual, a returning citizen. The community colleges are particularly important to people in my demographic because we tend to not have the funds to directly go to a university, nor do we have the acumen yet to go straight to a university because we've been incarcerated and we've been behind. So the community colleges actually help us catch up and prepare if for those who want to go on further in education like myself. So for instance, for me to get into the underground scholars or into Project Rebound, I have to get Golden 4. So there are 4 classes I need to get. Now, if all the classes are being cut, I won't be able to get the classes I need to go and complete what I need to complete so that I can become a viable citizen. So the ramifications of these things are there are people who are in my demographic who don't have as much discipline as I have. And as human beings, we tend to revert back to what we know. So when you're doing all these cuts and everything, and you're taking away these opportunities for these people, they're going to revert back to what they know. And that might be you come home and someone's in your home eating a big giant sandwiches and tying up your family. That thing happens because these people have no resources. So we have to be careful when making these decisions of cutting and cutting and cutting. See, it's not going to work. And, you know, the Peralta Community College has the resources to some.
You muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
So, yeah, I just muted. So, you know, I'm just here to call on the board to stop the cuts and make sure people like me have the resources we deserve, because majority of us want to be, you know, viable tax-paying citizens. And, we want to leave that life behind us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Sia Nazari.
Hello there. This is Sia Nazari. I actually joined Merit College a couple of years ago. My background experience is mostly research and economics. I teach business and I forecast trends, both economic trends and geopolitical trends. So based on these conversations, I just wanted to share with you guys that, and according to my forecast, we are entering World War III. So we need to be, I believe, vigilant and also prepared about not only our survival, but the survival of our communities and the students, given the fact that there's going to be a massive economic turmoil ahead of us. A lot of people are going to lose jobs and they're going to go back to school for the most part, either community college or universities. So I would suggest and I would recommend maintaining all these, not only all these teachers and keep them happy, which would actually keep the job of the board and other parts, intact, but also optimize where the pressing issues and pressing, I would say, problems are. I would also suggest that we look at some statistics of immigration and refugee crisis, that we are going to actually get hit by that as well, especially in our area and in general in California. Those numbers all would suggest that we need to build a more resilient community college, especially people who are, coming from the background of people of color and immigrant communities or families. So I just wanted to share this with you guys. These are not my opinions. Would be happy to share data supporting all the points I made here. I just believe that the best thing that the board and decision makers would do in the next 2 to 5 years is to take care of the resources we have. Otherwise, the entire community college as a whole, as a system, as a structure will collapse. So nobody will end up having a job anyways. So I think that would be my 2 cents for the entire people who are listening to this.
Thank you for that.
Next, we have Deborah Weintraub.
Hi. Good evening to everyone, and thank you for being here to listen to me for a few minutes. My name is Deborah Weintraub, and I'm speaking to you tonight on behalf of PRO and other retirees of the district. I am the current president of PRO, and some of you have been around long enough to also know me as the former PFT president and a faculty member for over 25 years. Again, I want to thank you for listening to us last board meeting, and for letting us express our serious misgivings about Medicare Advantage. And you did listen to us. You, in fact, gave us a little more time, and we really appreciated that. And we want to continue working with you in that spirit of cooperation and hopefully trust. We asked last time, and I'm here again to reemphasize how much we want to stay on traditional Medicare, or to have other options other than Medicare Advantage. And so in essence, we're asking that you give retirees with lifetime benefits a separate plan, that it is not linked with whatever other healthcare plans that you are making, because we see there's no connection actually between what's going on with other current employees and our situation. Our healthcare is funded through the OPEB bonds, as you know, and the only legal use of that money is for retiree health benefits. None of that money can go into the general fund. It can't help any current employees with their salaries, for instance. It is a wholly separate thing. And that is what we are asking you to do, is to separate our healthcare request and from the other actives in healthcare coverage right now. We're asking you to give us time, and the Chancellor and VC McKinley have agreed to meet with myself and Bruce Jacobs to continue this discussion on October 4th. So what I'm asking each and every single one of you board members, because it's really up to you. We have no bargaining agent. We have no time at a table. Is to not do anything tonight that would prevent the retirees from further discussing and having the time to go through the options and other ideas that we can come up with to find a solution that works for the district and works for us. And we also feel we need time to work out a plan about disputes and
10 seconds.
reimbursement. Okay, so anyway, thank you. Thank you for listening to us, and we look forward to working with you on this.
Thank you, Debbie.
Next, we have Josh Levine.
Hi, my name is Josh Levine. I'm a UC Berkeley graduate, but current BCC student and a writing coach. And I'm taking classes again and tutoring to prepare for a career in education. And I've also been really disheartened by what I've been able to learn just these past several weeks about the budget and how that's used in the Peralta Community College District. So my understanding is that class cuts are sort of being explained by administration as a reduction in students and demand. But my question to you is just what effort is being done by the countless high-paid administrators who are increasing every year at the district office? That's both to retain current students and also recruit more students. And since 2018, my understanding is also that the budgeting for community colleges in California is determined by several factors. And one of the primary ones is tied to the number of full-time equivalent students. Over the last several years, I think the college has increased the budget because of high enrollment, but the last several years of decreasing demand or student enrollment is leading to a stage in which that budgeting will decrease. And so for me, it's unclear what the path is for the community college district to even survive. For me, it seems like a positive feedback loop that's just paving the way to death of the community college or further privatization. And so I was heartened to hear that the student journalists are planning to do an event to interview the board members. And from what I understand, I fully believe that the failure to address these concerns and the increasing teacher-student solidarity will probably push out board members who live in Lake Tahoe or even other states. Thank you.
That is all the public comment we have.
Okay. Thank you for all of your public comments. Let's move on to 3.12, Chancellor's reports.
Good evening, everyone, colleagues and board. I'd like to start our discussion of the Chancellor's report with the presidents, and I'd like to go in alphabetical order, starting with Berkeley City College, then College of Alameda, Laney College, and then Merritt College. And then I have just a couple of comments at the end. So Dr. Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, Chancellor, President Napolia Bellaris, trustees, colleagues, and community members. In addition to the written report that you have in your packet, I'd like to highlight two additional items. The first news that I would like to share is that in the early hours of today, Berkeley City College received communication from the U.S. Department of Education that our cooperative ANAPISI, which stands for Asian American, Native American, Pacific Islander Serving Institution grant with Laney College was funded, only one of two in the nation for this cooperative grant. This $2.5 million grant over 5 years will develop institutional capacity at both colleges, but really set up BCC to learn from our colleagues at Laney, as this is our first ANAPISI grant, whereas Laney has had several. This collaboration will certainly highlight the synergy across our district. The AAPI Healthy Transitions Program proposal will provide resources to further develop services to AAPI students, including mental health, physical space on the college campuses, again, primarily for Berkeley City College in this event, culturally grounded professional development for faculty, classified professionals, and administrators. And I'm going to leave the other big item for President Besikoff to share in his report as one of the services that will come from this event. This cooperative grant really represents the very best of our community. And I know that we say that we're not in competition, but this is a joint effort, as the cutoff score for funding this year was 98. And our cooperative grant was at 106.33 with a
Impressive.
competitive priority point. So it was really great. A huge thank you to our Laney colleagues, especially Dr. David Lee, and at Berkeley City College, Dr. Pumi Sayovang and Dr. Martin de Muchaflores for their leadership in pulling together all of the critical colleagues to submit a successful proposal, and more importantly, for putting our hard work in such a clear manner on paper. So I'm grateful for President Besikoff. Felt like we've done fist bumps, elbow bumps, all kinds of bumps in the way that we continue to support students as partners. So that is great news for all of us in the district. And then it becomes kind of bookended that the second piece of news that I would like to share, it's really with a heavy heart that I'd like to share with the community, the passing of our beloved retired colleague, Miss Loretta Newsome. Miss Loretta, as she is known, passed away peacefully in her sleep last Friday, September 23rd. Her daughter kept us informed and will continue to let us know information about funeral services. But a few items or a few pieces of information is that Miss Loretta served for 46 years before she retired last year on March 15, 2021. And we had the privilege of honoring her at our end of the year celebration, where fun facts about Loretta were part of the trivia game that we had. When you have someone whose presence for nearly 5 decades in our district, she was a admissions and records senior specialist, a union steward, and memorably regarded as a maternal presence for many students and colleagues. I look forward to sharing more at a later date regarding services, and our deepest condolences go out to her daughter and their family. So what I would like to do is respectfully request that we adjourn this evening's meeting in the honor of Miss Loretta.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. With that, that concludes my report.
Dear President Napoleo Bedlaris, trustee members here and in DC, Chancellor Jackson, colleagues, and community members. I'm honored to provide the first board report in my role as the acting president of the College of Alameda. And given that this is my first report, I'd like to start with some good news and stay throughout the report with good news. As I shared with the college community, as we work together in designing a spring schedule that reflects the demand of our students and the multiple modalities of learning, and is focused in data-driven decisions that we discuss together, I'd like to share that these collaborative efforts, when we work together and we focus in our students, do produce results. As of today, there is an 18% increase in student headcounts at College of Alameda from fall to fall. There is an increase of 8% in the residential FTS. In addition, with 25% of classes yet to start, we still have some more room for FTS growth. There is a significant decrease in the number of low enrolled courses. 29% less courses with 1 to 15 students and 19% less courses with 1 to 19 students. There is a significant decrease in the class cancellation, 61% decrease from year to year. Interesting also to note that only with 75% of courses in session and 25% yet to come, the today FTS is 3% higher than the entire fall 2021 FTS. So it seems like we starting in a better academic year. Some other great news. It was beautiful to be at COA campus today. As COA president, Natalia Myers shared earlier, it was gorgeous to be outdoor. The COA student activities and campus life, COA Ethnic Studies, ASECO, and the Office of the President, in celebration of the Latinx Heritage Month, organized a Guatemalan textile weaving workshop and Tasty Tuesday. Guatemalan artisan Maricela Aguilar did provide a workshop on traditional Guatemalan textile weaving, while administrators, faculty, staff, students, and young children were enjoying exploring the beautiful textile pieces and sharing their experiences at COA, their experiences as immigrant coming from Cuba, Albania, and different countries of the world. Watching Maricela transform the yarn into beautiful fabrics made us reflect on the importance of being mindful of the tapestry of our Latinx community and our entire community, embracing and honoring diversity therein through courses, programs, services that support and enrich identities and develop a sense of familia at College of Alameda. Today, this month, and throughout the year, we celebrate the achievement of 2,527 Latinx students at COA, who comprise 28% of all student population. These members of the COA Familia succeed in reaching their academic goals, despite the challenges of being first-generation college students, 68% versus 51% of all enrolled students. Latinx earned 22% of all students, learned 22% of all certificates and degree conferred during 21-22 academic year. In other news, I would like to share that we had a really great job fair with 26 employers participating, among which Alameda Unified School District, BART, Caltrans, East Bay MUD, Peralta Community College District, Alameda County Human Resources Services, Pitt's Coffee donated really great coffee, and Semifredis brought some really good pastries and bread. There were 140 job seekers that were provided with access to recruiters and hiring managers. But the most important, there are a lot of discussions of how we can partner together to create more academic programs and job opportunities for our students. And the last one I would like to highlight, the work of AMT, Esther Chang, and 6 students, Douglas Goodwin, Pablo Padilla, Paulden Jemyang, Vincent Chen, Alvin Peng, and Zoran Arbas. They participated in a table at the Reed Hillview Airport Aviation Career Exploration event on Saturday, September 3rd. It was a really great event, and 400 people visited the AMT table. This would note the AMT program is a great program that has been featured here several times, and I would like to thank again Professor Hoy Coy, Bruce Pettyjohn, George Cruz, and everybody else that makes it a successful program. This concludes my first report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I begin, great job, President Bayrami. Good evening, Chancellor Jackson, President Napoli Bellaris, members of the governing board, colleagues in education, community partners, and valued students. I'd like to begin in regards to the written report you received this evening. On page 2, there is a write-up of a great one-day conference we held on September 14th with not only Laney College, but also We're pleased to welcome folks from College of Alameda, as well as many industry partners and even four-year partners to discuss the future of artificial intelligence and data analysis. I was privileged to be there for the first hour, and it was really a very cool event. And I'm so glad to say that. I'm also pleased to provide you an update on my written report to give you some new data. At the beginning of the report, we found that at the time I submitted, we had a 14% increase in students compared to a year ago. That is now dated information. In fact, at the end of last week, it was 15%. So pleased to report that. But some things that are not in your report that I'd like to point out are that the percentage of students who are enrolling as full-time students actually has gone up by 0.5%, which is, that's significant. And 1,200, more than 1,200 students more have applied for financial aid than a year ago. So the positive momentum moves forward. October 14th, we're going to have Fall Fest to promote our late starting classes, most of which begin on the 18th. And the future's bright at Laney College when it comes to enrollment, and I'm so pleased to say that. The second thing tonight is part 2 of the BCC report. Hold on, we'll do this again. So excited to be to hear so early this morning about the Anna Peasy grant and the fact that we were funded. And want to thank as well Dr. David Lee for his part at Laney in submitting. He's doing so much for our community, especially the outreach to our API community. And thanks a lot, in great part to efforts of colleagues like him. If you go to multicultural chamber events now in Oakland, Laney College comes out and shows pretty strong. In fact, at the last event, we had 6 people there. It was kind of neat. So we are actually only one of 2 proposals nationwide that got funded. And I think that's something that's incredible. But grants are only as good as how you're going to use the funding. And we're going to be using it for a couple of really incredible reasons in collaboration with BCC. We're going to be looking at increasing and customizing our mental health counseling services to really serve and support API students in this current societal situation of, unfortunately, API hate that's in our community. Also looking at a community that is transitioning from pandemic to endemic and all the things that accompany that. So a lot of contemporary things that are going on. Also for our students who are taking ESOL, this grant will help transition them from ESOL to other classes and towards completion of a certificate, a degree, or even towards transfer. This is exciting, and it really shows the power of working together and something that's wonderful in the Peralta Community College District. Laney's been a pretty vibrant place. A lot of stuff going on our campus, and it's great to just hear all that noise on the quad. Just since the last board report, we had celebration of Constitution Day by the Associated Students of Laney College. On the 17th, we had a Pride celebration event. We had National Voter Registration Day as well. And this week, the Black Student Union has been putting on a series of Power of Your Vote events. And it was so great yesterday to welcome to the Laney College campus for those events, in addition to Peralta College's foundation director, Lanice Jones, Oakland Council member, Nikki Fortunato Bas, and to meet with her and speak with her a little bit. And she certainly was a prominent part of the events yesterday. Speaking of leadership, I am pleased to put the spotlight on our ASLC president, Omolola Atalagbe, who right now is at the National Congressional Black Caucus. And within your board report, you'll see a picture of her with her bag packed standing next to me. She's been busy, and she's really hit the ground running as student body president. Last week, in conjunction with me, we put on basically a joint executive leadership meeting that we're going to have as a monthly event now, where the senior leadership of Laney College, or exec as we call it, will be meeting with their exec and having regular conversations. And I'm so appreciative of her for being open to trying this to see how it's going to work. In addition to that, during the summer, she was one of the first to join me on my podcast. And that was something that was great. And I'll actually close my report tonight by talking about that. Tomorrow, if you have the opportunity, and then of course, it'll be available in podcast form, but if you're able to listen to the radio tomorrow at 2 p.m., you'll hear a great conversation that Felicia Bridges and I had with Laura Gomez Contreras, counselor at Laney College, who runs our Puente program, something that is a rising star and just something that's getting more and more students every year and really promoting this idea of transfer. It's a great opportunity to hear about a 25-minute discussion of exactly what Puente is and what it does for students. And I really encourage you to listen to it. But also in our roles, often when we tell the stories of our colleges or tell the story of our district we represent, it's about students. And this experience now 16 episodes in, really saying, you know what, let's make our audience our students and then our community members who are also interested. If you backtrack into the archives of my broadcast, you can not only learn about the Puente program, but you can learn about student basic needs, the needs of students, and what Laney College and other colleges around the state are doing to support. You can hear the story of food distribution at Laney College that began with my predecessor, Dr. Gilkerson, and continues and thrives. You can learn about student life. Often for community colleges, of course, there's the classes you go to, but often what students do after class or before class or in between class, what that life looks like. We had a conversation about that. Student accessibility services. We had a conversation about that as well and talked about everything from state funding to actual programs for students. We also were privileged to have a couple of student success stories, a current student who was a suicide survivor, as well as a former student, alumni, who now teaches at Cal State Maritime. And then finally, and this has been probably the most visited show so far among our services for students broadcasts, we welcomed mental health specialist Susan Yee, and we talked about mental health support at Laney College, as well as the issues that surround mental health support. So as you go out into the community, board members, and tell your stories about Peralta, Laney College, and higher education, I hope you'll consider these broadcasts a support to you in your efforts. And with that, I'll conclude my report tonight.
Thank you, President Besikoff.
All right. Good evening, President Napoli Bellarice and trustees, chancellor, colleagues, and community members. Merritt College recognizes that many of our students are going through difficult financial times right now, so we're working to support them and effectively managing and maximizing their resources. To that end, on Tuesday, September 22nd, we hosted the first financial literacy workshop offered in partnership with the Society for Financial Education and Professional Development. And our inaugural workshop was titled How to Manage Debt, Student Loans, and Maximizing the Use of Financial Aid. So over the next several weeks, we're going to offer 3 additional sessions. First one's on financial investments, another one on money management, and the third on tax management. And these workshops are open to all students across the district, so be on the lookout for dates and times for future presentations. Next, so earlier this month, the Peralta Community College District submitted its MIS program data for the 21-22 academic year. So everybody was bragging, so here comes my drum roll. So I'm happy to report that with a grand total of 1,034 awards, Merritt College granted the most degrees and certificates in the district. Yes, give it up. Yeah, I'll take it. So our students earned 427 AA and AS degrees. We earned 98 ADTs, 231 certificates of achievement, 268 certificates of proficiency, and 10 non-credit awards. So to account for 28% of the total degrees and certificates in the district is truly a testament to the skill of our faculty, the support of our classified professional staff members, and the fortitude of our students. So I salute you all. And speaking of students, I'm also proud to recognize the success of one of Merritt's alums, Ms. Brandy Howard. So last week, Ms. Howard was selected as the new president and CEO of the East Bay Community Foundation, EBCF for short. And now this foundation was established in 1928 and serves people across Alameda and Contra Costa counties. And as the head of this foundation, Ms. Howard will lead their efforts to partner with donors, social movements, and the wider community to eliminate structural barriers, advance racial equity, and transform political, social, and economic outcomes for all East Bay residents. Now, Ms. Howard came to Merit as a mother of 3 and as someone looking to make a transition out of the workforce after 10 years, working in 10 years. She credits Dr. Siri Brown, our favorite Dr. Siri Brown, and the counseling faculty at Merit for building her up and inspiring her to do great things. She also said that it was the English and African American Studies courses that prepared her for future success, and that she learned in those classes how to communicate clearly and think critically. And after Merit, she went on to UC Berkeley, where she earned a bachelor's in African American Studies and a master's in public policy. And now she is the chief executive of one of the nation's oldest community foundations. So congratulations on that. Finally, so if Sasha is in the Ethernet somewhere, I want to share with you a brief clip of another a Noble Merit alum, the Honorable Shane Thao. An Oakland City Council member, Thao recently visited her old stomping grounds at Merit College. She's a former Merit student. No, let me be clear. She wants me to be clear. She is the former valedictorian of Merit College. Let's get it right. And she came up to Merit to film a spot for an upcoming piece that we're trying to do. I also want to thank Mark and Joe Sullivan for their executive producer credits on this. So we're just going to show a brief clip of what's forthcoming. So go ahead. As it spins.
Merit College holds such a special place in my heart. Walking these halls again, it's actually very emotional because Merit College changed my life. It truly changed my life. I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just knew that I needed to do something to try to sustain my, to have some sort of financial stability with myself and my son as a single mom, unhoused. And so what I've learned through going through Merit College is that it was all of the administrators, all of the teachers and instructors who were so supportive, allowing me to bring my son to class with me when he couldn't go to daycare. And so Merit College to me saved my life.
Yeah, that's all right. And that concludes my presentation for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Presidents. I just have a couple of comments that I'd like to make before turning back over to President Reese that concerns things that are happening within the district. The first one is the state has implemented a multi-factor authentication let me go a syllable at a time, and that began September 26th. Basically, it's guidance from the state, also from the Department of Education, and also from our insurance provider, ACIP. And the process is really similar to what you do at your bank, that many banks and businesses that have online accounts are asking. Not only do you have a password that you're required to renew periodically, but you also are sent a secondary certification to ensure that you are who you are. Sometimes that can be via email or it can be via telephone. And so that was implemented basically in regards to the cyber attacks that we received and the financial aid fraud, and also to increase our data security. The other item that I'd like to address is the board had asked that we conduct a survey on masking, and we will be presenting that information to the board as it discusses not only the masking policy, but also the readoption of Resolution 21/22-51 regarding the Brown Act and covered legislative bodies continuing to conduct meetings via teleconference. The board has asked for that information, and we will be providing it at our next meeting as that resolution will be coming up again. So just those two items, and I will turn it back over to President Reese.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you, Presidents, for all of that information. Again, congratulations to the ANAPISI grant. I love the fact that we're going to be using that fund, that grant for mental health awareness and mental health help, as well as the physical space and the cultural guided development. Dr. Bajrami, great report. Wonderful to hear that these increases across the board actually are increases that are going to continue to go up with late start enrollments. And Dr. Johnson, what? 1,034? Did I get that right? Wow. Fantastic. Just thank you all for all that you do. All of our students do, all of our faculty and staff do. All right, let's move on to the next item. And the next item is 9.4. Am I correct? 9.8 rather, I'm sorry. We moved that up, reordered the agenda, and 9.8 is the final reading and adoption of the ACCJC follow-up reports due October 1st. And this is with Dr. Janet Fulks presenting. Hi, Dr. Fulks.
Good evening, Peralta Community College District. I'm so grateful again to be able to work alongside of you. Tonight you have the ability to approve this report that will go in as the follow-up report. But typical of Peralta, you haven't just rested on your laurels. You've been doing an awful lot of work since we first put this through review with all the governance committees and brought it to you. So I want you to know, just so that I can close the loop on this report, that I'm going to have to send in a letter with updated evidence that you've met all of these requirements and you're sustaining meeting those requirements, from your new adopted budget to the upcoming PBIM work that's done. And I just have to make a personal comment that as I looked at the things that are on the schedule for PBIM and I saw how your governance is ruled by principles that you agree upon and you evaluate and you move forward so that you can make decisions, it made me realize that the peer review team is going to be so glad to see all of these structures that are in place and that you're continuing to follow. And I'm not sure if you've heard yet or not, but you did get 2 emails that cleared audit findings 2020-003 and 2021-003 on the student security for the internet. So that's a great thing to have a completely cleared audit finding. And you've been just harvesting that relationship with your new external auditors. So I want to commend you for that. I also see that you've got a CIPD meeting that occurred and that you're working on all of the curriculum. So all of these things will be included in a letter that says, even in the last month, Peralta has sustained really good work and you need to look at this evidence of the good work they do. And I want to thank Dr. Droker for all of her time and energy and coordination. Your IT and finance and administration people have been remarkable. The ALOs have been so on the spot doing their jobs. The input from the classified and faculty, as well as all the administrators, has just been wonderful. So I hope that tonight, as you have been able to review this report, you will be able to vote it through, and then we'll get signatures and send it off to ACCJC.
Thank you, Dr. Fulks. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow, second. Trustees, may I have? Thank you, Vice President Delphine Polk. Discussion? I cannot see anything, so if somebody can let me know if the trustees have any hands up. Okay, let us vote then.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Handy, Trustee Delphine Polk, Yes. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
student trustee Latino. Thought she was here. Can you hear me, trustee Latino? Okay. Motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you again, Dr. Folks, for your continued work with us as we move forward. This is amazing. True, authentic structural work at this district, long overdue and amazingly done. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let's go to the top of the agenda. And the top of the agenda brings us to 4.1. Public hearing and consider approval of the Peralta Community College District 2022-23 adopted budget under resolution 22/23-78. That's a mouthful. I think.
Thank you, President Reese. Before we begin, I just want to introduce our acting Vice Chancellor, Dr. Nathaniel Jones III. And he will give you just a brief review of what was presented in the first reading and then followed up with the recommendations with details that have been fleshed out. We did conduct the the budget forum on the 16th. We took into account the recommendations that were made. Many of those were strategic recommendations versus things that we could implement in the very truncated amount of time that we had. So we went back, taking the board's guidance that we stay as far away from the classroom as possible. Also not looking at cutting any of the full-time faculty positions and moving forward with the recommendations for the 11 new faculty that we're looking at hiring this next year, and strategically working with the presidents to identify what those particular cuts or freezes would be for those positions. Given that some of those have not been filled yet, some of that will be included in savings that are not really captured in this report. So those may be subject to change as we move forward, but really sticking to the tenets that we were given at the beginning. So I'd like to turn it over to AVC Jones for his presentation. And I believe the item that we're going to be asking you to vote on will be included in a revised budget book, rather than just taking out a page here and a page there. We'll republish the whole thing and bring it back for adoption and basically ratification, because it will already be hopefully adopted tonight. So with that, Dr. Jones.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. It's my pleasure to provide this report. Essentially, it is a continuation of the discussion that we began 2 weeks ago. So as a point of reminder, I wanted to let you know that on or about the 26th of August, we discovered that there was an error in the calculation of our revenues. On the 30th.
Excuse me, Dr. Jones, did you want the PowerPoint to be on the screen?
Yes, I thought that Sasha had floated that. My apologies. Sasha, do you mind doing that, please? Second slide, please. Thank you. So on the 30th of August, we received the revised advanced apportionment from the state, giving us additional rate information upon which we would need to calculate our total compensational revenues. And then early in September, as you all know all too well, when I shared this information, we had a town forum, and then we presented various options on how to address the revenue shortfall. And we presented two options. We gave you a menu of options in terms of how that could be addressed, and then we gave you two specific options for consideration. Subsequent to that time, we were asked to develop a specific recommendation for the board to consider. And so that is what I'm going to do this evening. Next slide, please. What I wanted to share with you related to this is just a reminder. This is what's in your adopted budget book. It shows about $167.8 million in revenues, an expense budget of $165 million, and then an operating variance of $2.7 million. And finally, I would draw your attention to the funding balance percentage of 17.12. Now, this is what is in your adopted budget book. And so what we're going to do is to show you how this document essentially gets revised. Next slide, please. As the chancellor mentioned, we had the town forum. We listened to various voices from the stakeholders and looking at how do we cure the shortfall in revenue from what was reported. As I mentioned then, and I'll repeat now, is that we are receiving the revenue that we always should have received. The error is just one of projecting something that we were never entitled to, nor should have been shared. So we are essentially seeking to align our actual expense budget with our actual revenues that we are entitled to receive in accordance with the policies and formulation established by the state. So what we wanted to do is to do that in a manner that reflected certain principles. One of those principles was to safeguard student learning and success. We also was mindful to try to do it in a way that was fair and reasonable. And lastly, we wanted to maintain a solid fund balance percentage to reflect a healthy institution. As you know, that we are seeking to do a new issuance of bond, and that positive, healthy fund balance is important to our ongoing rating, and we're hoping to have that rating agency improve our rating, which would lower the cost of debt for us in the future. So looking at not just the short-term effects, but also the long-term effects as well. So we came up with 3 ways in which we're going to do that we think addresses those particular priorities. One is to use our HERF3 funding to increase our revenues by utilizing the HERF funding for an allowable use, which is to offset reductions in lost revenues and claim indirect cost recovery because it is a grant. And so these are allowable ways in which those resources can be used. And so that's that will help us with reducing that deficit in terms of the revenue, going from the deficit of 11.67. And so now shaving 4 million off of that would certainly help in terms of needing to cut less on or reduce less on the expense side of things. Now, on the expense side of things, we're looking at 2 main strategies. One is one that I'm really particularly happy with, and that is this has very, very limited to no operational impact. We have about 90 or so vacant positions throughout the district. And in a couple of days, it'll be September 30th, which is the end of what we call Q1 or the first quarter. Okay, so we have accrued thus far through Q1 salary and benefit savings for those 90 positions. I did what you told me not to do. I apologize. We've essentially have already saved those resources. The difference is now we're going to budget that savings and credit us for having saved those resources rather than it just automatically falling to the bottom line. We'll just show that as a reduction in the budget in the first instance. And then the other method is to freeze some of the remaining vacant positions to make up the difference of about $3 million. And so let's take a look at that. Next slide, please, in some concrete terms. And so you'll see here, I'll cross my arms so that I keep them out of the way. So what you can see here is nearly 4 million in additional revenues, 3.99. And then what we are going to do is show reductions in salary and benefits of about $3 million. And then, the Q1 salary and benefit savings of about $3.5 million for fiscal year 22-23. Next slide. And so this is what the revised 5-year projection would look like, taking into account those reductions that I have just gone through. So we'll have a revenue of 159.28, expense budget of 159.04, and an operating variance of $242,000 and an ending fund balance of 16%. And that fund balance we maintain over the remaining years of the 5-year projection. So next slide. So I am requesting, with all due consideration, for the board to adopt the 22-23 budget as reflected in the budget book, but also approve us moving forward with the revised unrestricted general fund that we shared with you this evening, codified in the revised 5-year projection, with the expectation that we will take that, amend the adopted budget book and all the concomitant slides and other information that are there, and come back with a revised budget book that takes that information into consideration for you to ratify a final version of the 22-23 budget. Thank you for your time, and I will happily answer any questions that you may have.
Trustees, any questions? Can somebody help me with questions that might be out there?
Trustee Polk has a question.
Thank you for this, Dr. Jones. And earlier in the presentation, you talked about having positions frozen. Can you specify which positions those were, or at least kind of a ballpark?
The ballpark is, we're talking about 30 some odd positions, and they are staff and administrative positions is what we've identified at this point. No faculty positions are slated to be frozen at this point. Now, remember, I mentioned principles. The principle that I mentioned was about fairness. And that is reflected not in terms of the freezing of positions, but recognize that the positions that are vacant currently, some of those do in fact include faculty positions. And so we are garnering salary and benefit savings from some of those faculty positions that are part of that salary and benefit saving. So all of the entire district in terms of personnel classification are contributing, but in somewhat different ways. Therefore, having a fairness and equity component to the solution that was, secured and advanced.
Thank you. And are we expecting to fill these positions after the conclusion of this fiscal year?
That's a really, really good question. I think the answer to that is it depends. And I'm not being facetious. I'm being quite candid. It depends because the institution's needs may change. A position that is frozen today, next year may become a very, very important position. And we need to allow the colleges and the district the opportunity to prioritize. I think what is also going to be important to recognize is that as good of a job as I think I might have done with regard to projecting and modeling revenues for next year, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know how many separations there are going to be. I don't know how many of those recruitments that we have going on are going to be successful. So this is something that we're just going to have to look at year over year and make good, thoughtful, value-driven decisions around. That's just the way it needs to be. And so if we have a little bit more in terms of revenues, then the amount of positions that will freeze, or if we get additional revenues from other sources, all of these variables would contribute to the way in which we need to respond.
Thank you. Vice President Delphine Polk, do you have another question?
Really quickly, so just to clarify, you were saying that it was administrative staff. Is it classified staff? Those are the positions being frozen? Okay. Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you, Dr. Jones.
You're quite welcome.
Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Thank you. First of all, Vice Chancellor, thank you for stepping up into the position. I don't envy the task. I think that as we look historically of where as a district we've gotten into trouble, it's typically been in finance. That's kind of been a major weakness. And so stepping into that role, I don't think any of us can expect miracles overnight. So you're stepping in, trying to sort through some stuff. And so, thank you for doing that. I'm looking at the budget, and as I read this budget, what we've got is frozen classified positions for a little more than $2 million a year, kind of moving forward, and similarly frozen administrative positions moving forward. And so that, as I look at it, we're going to have new vacancies come up. We're going to have to make decisions about which vacancies among those that are currently frozen we're going to fill, how we rotate that pane, et cetera. And but it looks as though we are balancing the budget by making kind of ongoing reductions, maybe rotating in classified and administrative positions. And that without those, we would not be able to balance the budget. That's what it looks like to me. It looks like then we're adding in, deferring, writing down some bad debt. I guess we're going to probably try to figure out how to have less bad debt as well. All right. Here's what I think I want to just put out. I think we're all going to vote for this budget tonight. I think we understand that you came in and very quickly had to make some pretty rough decisions without perfect knowledge. Okay, let's acknowledge that. I think the other thing that we need to acknowledge is that, you know, budget's always a working document. We're going to make mid-year changes. We're going to make them ongoing. And so I think then the real question is, Vice Chancellor, and I think this is for the entire administration and board and district, how do we make actual wise decisions? And I think that our challenge has often been the way that we're making decisions don't necessarily draw on the best information, the best feedback, and we very rarely reach consensus within the district. So tonight, for example, we have people coming and saying, wait, you're cutting classes. Last week, or last board meeting, we had people complaining that we weren't being generous enough at the negotiations table. We have retirees saying, wait, you're balancing your budget on our backs, et cetera. And I think our challenge as a district really can be solved by an inclusive decision-making process. I think when we make decisions, like right now, I look at this budget book, I'm going to vote for it because frankly, I don't have any creative solution to say, oh, move this line item or that line item. That would be really presumptuous of me. I don't have the information to make those kinds of decisions. But you do, in part, and your information will be so much better to the extent that you're able to tap into the wisdom of students and faculty and staff on the ground. And I think that's really historically been our weak point, that we don't use that information well. We don't arrive at a consensus on where budgets, how budgets should be formed or where cuts should be made. And so we have a lot of bad morale, basically. And then when we err, we don't have a really very good way of saying, well, we tried this thing. Let's look back and see why it didn't work. Why are we still in this position that we were in last year or the year before? And so we don't have a very good way of correcting, you know, of doing course correction. My fervent hope, Vice Chancellor, is that we can usher in a new day at Peralta, one that in fact is more inclusive, one that truly works to build consensus and then uses that consensus in a scientific way to do adequate course correction where we see mistakes being made, and then also drawing on what's in fact working and then replicating that. And that's where I really see our, you know, where we're blowing it. So again, I want to reiterate my personal thanks, and I'll just extend that to the board's gratitude for your ability to step up into this very difficult position. We don't expect miracles. I think if you can begin to move us in that direction, I personally think you'll find success. I think that success will come through an inclusive consensus building process. So thank you very much for your efforts. I look forward to working with you and, you know, with my colleagues on this board to try to, in fact, build consensus and improve morale on this district. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee. And I look forward to working with you and the other board members. I agree with you. I think that there is an opportunity to improve in this area. And I welcome the ideas and thoughts about how to do that. I think that while there has been challenges in the financial area, I do want to remind the board and the rest of the community that we've come a long way.
Absolutely.
We've had a lot of challenges. And when President Reese was walking in, she asked me, how was I doing? And I told her, I said, I'm juggling a lot of balls and hoping and praying I don't let the glass one drop. And I think that that's where the district has been too, quite frankly, is that we've been juggling the FICMAT report and the ACCJC probation and this and
The
that.
chancellor's office.
And yes, and trying to put out one fire after another. So while we all recognize that there is ample opportunity for improvement, we should be heartened by the accomplishments that we've made thus far, and not be too hard on ourselves and draw together, and rather than swing the arrows. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Any other questions?
Yeah, first I'll just say that that was stated with so much eloquence, and it really is a reality of our times. And I don't think that we can underestimate or really not give enough credit to the fact that this district has been dealing with and going through a lot in the X number of years, and the accomplishments and structural changes and movement forward is real. It's real, it's authentic, and it's palpable. So thank you all. I do have a few questions though, of course. Are there any other questions out there for my other trustees though? No? Okay. So here are the 3 questions that I have for you, Dr. Jones. And I don't know if you have the answers to them yet. So if not, certainly just get back to me. As we know, 25-26 is going to be without the hold harmless. And we also know that we have to start preparing for that moment in time. And you even gave us a chart where our revenues were going to be straight and our expenditures continue to rise. But as I look at our 24-25 with hold harmless revenues and compare it to our projection for 25-26 without hold harmless, there's such a small delta in the revenues. It's 163 million versus 164 million. And so I know that these are just estimates, but without hold harmless, it's going to be far less. What we have to spend is going to be far less, right? Because right now, there doesn't seem to be much of a difference between our projections incoming with hold harmless in 24-25 and what we are trying to prepare for in 25-26 without the hold harmless. And I guess, as I think about that, then of course, the subsequent question is our expenditures. If our expenditures continue to remain as high as they are, when our revenues are certainly going to be very different in 25-26, how do we ensure that our map brings us to guiding our actions in that direction if our budget book with 5-year projections still show us as having lots more funding in 25-26 than may be realistically the case? So you don't necessarily have to, that might be a.
No, I mean, if you want a candid answer, I am happy to provide it. The reality is that for 25-26, our revenues are going to be what they are in 24-25. They're not going down. That represents the new floor,
That's
the
right.
new funding floor below which our revenues will not go. Okay. The issue is not that we're going to get beyond 24-25, get less revenues. That's not the issue. The issue is that it's going to remain relatively flat, except for some small percentages of local revenues that's going to inch up. But what is different is that the increases in the state apportionment isn't going to be there to offset the rise in costs. That's the issue. And so we had a buffer to, okay, cost goes up this much. Well, the revenues went up this much. And so there was not a big gap. And so we've been able to, eke along. But when the revenues aren't getting those annualized increases, yet the escalation in costs continues at the same rate or larger, depending on various factors, then that's where you're gonna have an inflection point where your projected revenues are gonna be exceeded by your projected expenses. So I hope
So-
you don't mind my,
Yeah, I
you know,
know. I love that candid
clarifying
answer.
that.
I think that's, thank you so much. And so really, even though we don't necessarily see here the gravity of the situation, what is the years afterwards will certainly start to show that.
That's right, and that's why in the presentation that I gave last time, I did a projection that went beyond there, and I showed you what the projected revenues
That's
and
right.
costs beyond just the 24-25, so that you'd have a sense of what those trends might look like, absent definitive corrective action over the next 2 years, in which we will still get COLA on top of the TCR.
Which is the best way to deal with it while we're still having.
That's
that,
exactly right.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you for that response. The other two questions are more, Vice President Delphine Polk had asked about the vacancies. And so those vacancies that are going to be frozen, those 30 are district and the 4 colleges.
That is
right?
correct, yes, ma'am.
And the 4 colleges were able to decide for themselves which positions in the classified and administration that they wanted.
We had a meeting, and the colleges as well as the district staff provided to me in my office their high priority recruitments, and those were taken off of the list of consideration for positions to be frozen.
Great, thank you. And then the last one is just the timeline. So when do you think that what we're approving this today, and then you said that you were going to get a revised final to us? We don't need to approve that, right?
Well, I think it would be good to do that, because you're approving a budget book
Mhm.
right now. And so we're going to and you're approving this 5-year plan. So it will be best to then come back with a revised budget book that has all the data and information updated as a record of what the final adopted budget is. That includes all the funding sources updated with the newest and greatest information.
But what we're approving now is going to be what's going to be on there, except for anything else that you need to change within the budget.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Thank you. Those are my questions. Now we need to do the actual public hearing.
Okay.
Anybody else have any other questions? We're good. Okay. All right. So public hearing. This being the time and date notice, the Board of Trustees will now convene a public hearing to receive public comment regarding the PCCD 2023 adopted budget under Resolution 22/23-78. Evelyn? Any comments? Sasha? Any public comments on this item? Or is there anyone present who wishes to comment regarding the topic?
I see no hand. Oh, I see one hand, President Richard Thole.
Okay.
Promoting them to panelists.
Okay. Is he in the room?
He is.
Hi, good evening. I just want to echo some of the comments earlier in public comment where it was presented before PBC. There were many suggestions provided, but the feedback was, that we can't implement some of those suggestions within such a short time frame, within a 7-day time frame. So I understand what Dr. Jones was talking about in distributing, these freezes throughout, the different groups. But I really have some concerns as to how it's going to impact, some of our areas that are already short-staffed or having some difficulty in retaining, our SEIU members. And so there hasn't, I hope moving forward, there's conversation as to, how there's impacts to our members. But I would like to really
just put it out there once again that there needs to be planning and some, forethought into these types of issues before they become urgent and hit us, suddenly. So I suggest we have these discussions, well into the future, and have those conversations now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one more, Shirley Costin.
Okay.
I'm not a classified member, but I know that we need the classified staff to assist our students, to help bring them into us, to support them when they get to our campus. And so I'm just concerned at cuts to classified staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. Do we have any more comments?
Trustee Ewan.
Just when we're done with the public hearing, come back to me.
There are no other hands.
So we're going to do a motion and discussion and then a vote. Nikki, would you like to just chime in?
I'll make the motion, and then when we're in discussion, I'll make my comment.
Okay.
So move approval of this budget.
Let me go ahead and
you have to gavel out the
yes.
hearing. Sorry.
As there are no more comments, I will declare the public hearing closed. Thank you. Gavel out.
Second.
All right, I'll go ahead and move approval of the budget.
Trustee Withrow seconds. Okay, discussion.
Whenever I'm recognized.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Trustee Gonzalez, you win.
Thank you. I'll just make one other note here. The administration has said that we're making cuts by freezing administrative and classified positions. And I think what's not quite clear is that, in fact, when you look at the actuals versus the budgeted part-time salaries for faculty, we're budgeting a lot less money for part-time faculty than we actually spent last year. Now, we've been doing this for years where we have a budget for part-time faculty and then we dramatically overspend that budget. It's a little confusing to me. Frankly, I don't understand it. But it appears, though, as though part of the way that we are actually going to balance this budget is by cutting faculty positions. They're not full-time faculty positions. We're filling vacancies. But at the same time, it appears as though in this budget, we are not going to be offering some class sections. And that is, in fact, a de facto cut to faculty. So I don't think anybody should be under the misapprehension that there are not sacrifices being made in the faculty ranks. It's just that those faculty ranks are almost all going to be part-timers, which is really hard on an entire class of employees in the district, if I'm not mistaken. And if I am mistaken, I would love to be better educated on that by the administration. Again, I think this is, it's as good as we've got right now. And I suspect this is a moving document that's going to see a lot of modification over the year. And so I'm happy to support it in the moment. So thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Delphine Pook, did you have your hand up or no?
Yes, just kind of going back to my question about the classified staff. I'm hoping that in the future, we can get a little bit more of a timeline of when we can expect to hire for these positions. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with relying on frozen positions, especially hearing some of the concerns that we've been hearing from our classified staff about shortages and our inability to serve students, et cetera. So I just hope in future we can have a timeline on how long we expect these positions to be frozen. Thank you.
Thank you, VP Delphine Pook. Any other questions or comments? Right, hearing or seeing none, rather. Let us take a vote.
Trustee Withrow?
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins?
Yes.
Trustee Handy? Nope. Trustee Gonzalez Ewan?
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Let's move on to the consent calendar. May I have a motion? Motion for the consent calendar?
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Okay, all right. Thank you, trustee Gonzalez Yuan, and second by trustee Withrow. Discussion, otherwise, let's vote.
Student trustee Latino. I see you unmuted yourself, but I still can't hear you. Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, we're on the action items portion of the agenda. 9.1, consider adoption of resolution number 22/23-80, authorizing the purchase of Microsoft software licenses pursuant to FCC Microsoft Campus Agreement 2022 in the amount of $202,768. May I have a motion?
Move approval.
Trustee Withrow, second. Second, trustees. Trustees, may I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Discussion? Let's vote.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 9.2, consider approval of a cost of living adjustment for confidential employees of 6% effective July 1st, 2022. Salary increase of 4% effective January 1, 2023. An additional salary step effective January 1, 2023, multilingual pay and longevity pay for confidential employees. May I have a motion?
Move approval.
Thank
I'd
you.
move approval of this item and then the next item, which is similar, except that it's a slightly smaller increase for administrative salaries.
Okay, friendly. Are you good with that?
Trustee Withrow,
Okay. All right.
thank you.
So for 9.2 and 9.3, discussion. All right, let's take a vote.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Agenda item 9.4, consider adoption of resolution 22/23-82, terminating district's contract with Trustmark Anthem for self-insured PPO traditional and PPO light health insurance plans effective December 31, 2022. Terminating district's contract with Kaiser for HMO health insurance effective December 31, 2022, and authorizing execution of contracts with self-insured schools of California, CISC 3 for PPO and HMO health insurance plans, and with Retiree First, Labor First for retiree healthcare and Medicare benefit support effective January 1, 2023. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Withrow.
Second.
Thank you, trustee Gonzalez Yuan. Discussion? Yes. Trustee Gonzalez Yuan, and then afterwards, Vice President Delphine Polk.
Thank you. We've spent a lot of time on this and we got a lot of public comment. And I think all of us have been moved by that public comment, particularly from retirees. Making this change today is a little bit of an act of faith. And it's an act of faith based on promises that the board is making and the administration has now repeatedly made to not harm our retirees, to hold fast to the commitment that we made to every employee hired before 2004 to make sure that the transition is smooth, that they have plenty of options, and that any additional expenses will be paid by the district. I think we fully expect the administration to follow through on that. They've said that repeatedly, and I have no reason to believe not. But I think the sooner that we resolve those questions, put it in writing, and make sure that we have the administrative staff to handle whatever bumps are in the road that people experience, I think the happier all of us will be. And so I'm going to vote for this, but I have to say I am doing so as an act of faith in the goodwill of this district to make sure that we follow through on the promises that we have made to the people who spent their lives working for us and for our community and students. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Delphine Polk.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan, you're so eloquent. I was going to say something very, very similar. I'm going to be looking to the chancellor and to the administration to ensure that we fulfill the promises that we made to our workers. I'm going to be looking for that. Thank you.
And I would just add that I was heartened to hear Debbie Weintraub talk about how she felt the meetings that have happened between our administration and PRO have allowed adjustments, modifications, and processes to be articulated as a result of those conversations. And again, our administrators have put forth a commitment in open session, and we will all look forward to that. And we thank our administrators for really listening to the constituents and our PRO retirees and making good on that. Any other comments? All right, let us vote then.
Trustee Whitrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Did we lose a couple of members?
Well, trustee Handy hasn't been here. I haven't heard her.
Oh, we have all 5 votes?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Let us move on to the next item. And the next item is 9.5. Consider approval of a tentative agreement between the Peralta Community College District and Local 39 International Union of Operating Engineers. May I have a motion?
So move.
Thank you, trustee Withrow. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Vice President Delphine Polk. Discussion on this? Seeing none, let's vote.
Trustee Whitrow,
Yes.
trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Yuan, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. 9.6, consider approval of a tentative agreement for a side letter between the, yes. Oh, my apologies, Dr. McKinley, please.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to make it, if I may, President Reese, it did not apply to 9.5, but for 9.6 and 9.7, would like to make sure it's understood so that there is clarity that should the board choose to adopt these two items, that it's with the understanding that the calculation of savings for the purpose of the district and union agreement to give 2023 savings in health insurance resulting from the change to CISC health insurance plans in excess of $3.9 million to faculty and classified employees in the form of a lump sum payment in 2023 and a salary increase in 2024 will not include the one-time decrease in the district's OPEB savings and will not include the decreased ongoing annual OPEB cost. Thank you, President Reese.
And Dr. McKinley, you said that that was for 9.6 and 9.7.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so for 9.6, which we have not yet voted on, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay. And did we have a motion on 9.6 already?
I'll move 9.6 and 9.7. These are the side letters with the PFT and SEIU.
Thank you.
Second.
Discussion at all for 9.6 or 9.7? And again, Dr. McKinley's statement applies to 9.6 and 9.7. Is that a hand up? I can't tell.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'm happy to support these. I'm really glad for that clarification, which makes it clear that One, we've negotiated a salary increase for classified and faculty of about 10% in a single year. Last week, we heard that, we were so far, the district had offered nothing. And, 2 weeks later, we're settled here with, I'm not going to reveal what happened in negotiations, but I'll just say it wasn't that different. So maybe there was some hyperbole in the rhetoric used last week that maybe wasn't so helpful. But I also am really glad to clarify this fact that in addition to the savings that we're getting, about $3.9 million of savings that we're getting on the health benefits, we're also saying that if there's additional savings on health benefits for current employees, that those are going to come right back into employee salaries and then be built into the base. And that's a powerful thing that we're doing, because I think it essentially means is that this year we're we've negotiated, they've earned it. So we're not giving away anything, but we are compensating employees with a really generous pay increase that I think will do a lot to bring us closer to being in line with the other districts. And is it enough? No, it's never enough. But I'm pretty happy to be on a board that's just negotiated a 10% increase in pay for workers this year. Thanks.
Thank you. Vice President Delphine Pook.
I always seem to follow you. Trustee Gonzalez Yuan. I'm also really proud to be part of a board who is giving a 10% increase to our workers. I'm a very proud member of SEIU 1021, so I'm very proud to be able to ratify and vote on this tonight. So thank you so much to our teachers and our classified staff who are the backbone of our districts and our schools, and our students rely so much on you. So thank you so much for your work, and I'm very proud to vote yes for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay. I think the whole board is very excited and very proud to support this. Thank you for the hard work of everyone who's been in negotiations. All right, let us vote then.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Student Trustee Latino, Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Poke,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And our last item is 9.9. Consider second reading and approval of PCCD OPEB actuarial study and death benefit opinion letter. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow, second.
Second.
Thank you. And any discussion? All right, let's vote.
Trustee Withrow,
Yes.
Trustee Jenkins,
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Poke,
Yes.
Trustee Gonzalez Yuan,
Yes.
Trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, let's move on to the report section. And then after our announcements, if any, I am going to give the floor to Dr. Angelica to adjourn the meeting in memory of Ms. Loretta. All right, 10.1, Board of Trustees reports. Trustee Withrow?
We're all involved in things in the community and various hats for various things, a lot of which are supposedly beneficial to the Peralta district. I'm a officer on the governing board of the Lake Merritt Breakfast Club, a group of civic leaders that have met for the last 90 years. But the last 2.5 years, we haven't met because of the pandemic. And we decided to have on the 15th of September, one meeting in person, and Bonda was the speaker. On Friday before that Thursday, he canceled, had a reason for canceling. I got a hold of Mark Johnson said, can we get somebody to talk about cybersecurity? That was on Friday afternoon at 10:30 on Monday. He had two speakers, a professor and a lead professor and a director of the program. They were there at 7 o'clock in the morning on Thursday for breakfast. Were well received by the whole crowd. In fact, we had to shut it off because the questions were rampant. So thank you, Merritt. Thank you, Mark. Good job.
Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Thank you, Trustee Withrow. Vice President Delphine Polk.
Yes, I'll keep it brief. First of all, once again, happy Latinx, Latina Heritage Month to everybody. I had the pleasure of speaking with David and Karen from the MLK Freedom Center at Merritt College just last week. It was wonderful to be able to connect with folks. They reached out to try and establish relationships with newer trustees. And so I think I was the first one. And so it was really great to hear more about their programs there. I'd like to do another visit, possibly with Dr. Johnson. I'll connect with you. But it was really great to hear the programming, especially around the nonviolent trainings and classes that they do on the weekends and in the community, just around nonviolence and civic engagement, which I think is really important. So that was a fun field trip. And so I thank them for the invite and hope to see them soon.
Thank you, VP Delphine Polk. Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen.
Thank you. Gosh, as a working faculty member, classes started for me this week. And so I have about 200 new students. And it gives me such appreciation for the work that our faculty and staff do here in this district. I really want to thank members of the public and particularly people from PRO, from PRO, the retiree organization, for helping us as a board and a district better understand the impacts of the decisions that are being put in front of us, that we're making. These are real lives that we're impacting, and your diligence in helping us be better board members is so helpful. So thank you. It's the second night of Rosh Hashanah. And so to all of my Jewish friends and members of our community, Happy New Year. That tradition is so important for us to hold and understand and to just be open about where we have erred and to have repentance in the best sense of that word for the errors and mistakes and offenses we have made. I will do my best to do better. And I hope as a district, we really take in that lesson and do better. I think we can. So Happy New Year. That's it.
Thank you, Trustee Gonzalez-Yuen. Trustee Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam President. Last Friday, I had the opportunity to attend the Laney College football game. The Eagles are now 4-0. I just want to uplift our student athletes for the great work that they're doing. And I always want to highlight Coach Beam and his coaches for all the hard work they do with our student athletes. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Jenkins. And I don't think Trustee Handy or student trustees are here. I'll just say a couple things. Tonight was a wonderful board meeting. I think hearing Dr. Folks talk about all that we've done, having our acting Vice Chancellor of Finance up there talking about all that we've done, hearing all that you all do, and then knowing what all of our classified and our faculty and our students do, and the benefits and the generativeness of all that happens at this district is really heartening and really heartwarming. So I think often we need to just stop and reflect and realize how much we've all done, you've all done collaboratively. It's amazing work, and just continue on in continuing on. The second thing I'll say is I had a conversation with Elise Castro, who is the incoming Alameda County Superintendent, and she is so excited about partnering high schools with community colleges, even more so. And I think that that is what we need to be doing. And if the Alameda County Superintendent is making that one of her hopeful priorities, then we are going to continuing on. So that's very exciting. And then again, just Lashana Tova, Happy New Year to all. And thank you. And I'm going to turn this over. Oh, wait, announcements first, and then I'm going to turn it over to President Garcia. Do we have any announcements?
We do.
Thank you.
So first announcement, yeah, of course. First announcement, late start classes, including classes starting on October 10th and October 17th, are available at all 4 colleges. Enroll today at peralta.edu. Number 2, the Peralta Community College District is proud to continue celebrating Latinx Heritage Month through October 15th. There are events happening at all of the colleges, including a Guatemalan textile weaving workshop at College of Alameda, among others. Visit the college websites for dates and details for specific events. Number 3, Laney College Black Student Union brings you The Power of Your Vote, a week-long voter education and registration event, September 26th through 29th, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. in the Quad, which includes on Thursday a teach-in called Our Government, Our Choice, People Power versus Fascism, which is co-hosted by the Laney chapter of the Poor People's Campaign. Last, save the date on November 10th, 2022 for our strategic planning charrette, an opportunity to engage with our community to inform our future plans. The charrette will be at Laney College from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's it for announcements.
Thank you, Vice President Delphine Polk, and I give the adjournment to you, President Garcia.
Thank you very much, President Napolia Bellaris. I'd like to take a moment and read the certificate of retirement recognition that was bestowed upon Miss Loretta Newsom on March 15th, 2021, and then offer a closing comment. So presented on this day, 15th day of March, 2021, to Loretta Newsom. In recognition and appreciation of your tireless efforts and dedicated service to Berkeley City College, its students, faculty and staff, and the Peralta Community College District, your contributions in support of our mission to promote student success leaves a blueprint for providing service excellence. On behalf of the college community, we honor and acknowledge your commitment to our institution and your distinctive longevity of 46 years of service. Congratulations on your retirement. We were able to share this with Ms. Newsom at that time. And so it is my privilege and honor. It is my privilege to honor the life and contributions of a beloved colleague who graced the local East Bay community, the Peralta community, and Mother Earth for 46 years. May Miss Loretta rest in peace and power. In her name and with the love and energy of her spirit, I humbly adjourn this meeting in her honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good night. Good night. See you all in a couple weeks.
All right.